We're going to go into the bottom orientation, switch facing you, and turn it on. You'll get a red indicator that you're in compose mode. So on, red, and then you'll see those little two red dots, which are the another signal that tells you where you are in compose mode. So the hoop always opens up into a rainbow display. And this is basically the hoop in compose mode. And what you do is you then make alterations to this hoop as you dance and play. And you use wheel turns, Merlin's wheel, or isolations if you like, and flips. Mostly front and back flips, but some side flips as well. So to alter the appearance of the hoop and the display, mostly it's wheel turns and flips. And the difference between the wheel turn here and in the other quivers is that you don't reverse the wheel to lock a signal. It's a freewheeling kind of idea. So let's say the first screen, which was the two red dots, when you open up the hoop in compose mode, you're in what's called the first screen. There's a series of screens that you flip to, but here's the first one, and it's a color change screen. So you start with this hoop, and if you do a wheel turn, you are varying the color display. But the difference is if you reverse the direction of the wheel, you just go back to your original color display. So the switch is now back at the top where I started. So if I go in the other direction, I'll reverse colors. If I go in this direction, so I'm changing with my isolations. I continue to change the particular parameter that screen is working with, and this first screen is working with color. A side flip in this first screen will take me to another variation of a color display. So there was a little pink indicator that I signaled the hoop correctly, and now if I turn the wheel, I get the same color, but now I get it two of them, like it's mirrored. And then if I carry on turning the wheel, I will just get a solid, steady color, and it selected the red because now you'll see let me finish that thought. It selected the red because that's just the first of those colors in that color scheme. So if you have a color scheme that has a bunch of colors, when it's a solid one, it'll just pick one of those. Now you see the hoop is flashing blue and white occasionally. This is because I have the switch in this 3 o'clock position here. And if I keep it there, the blue means it's locked and the white means it's unlocked. So it's unlocked now, so now if I do things with it, it's going to vary parameters. If I keep the switch at 3 o'clock for a little bit, it's now locked. So now if I do stuff, it's going to keep the same hoop. So that allows me now to play with this particular hoop. And then if I want to unlock it again, I have to leave the switch at that orientation quite still. There it goes white, and so it's unlocked. And the trick would be to try and get familiar enough to do this so that it doesn't interfere with your dance, your expression, or whatever. So the idea is you can just be selecting things with wheel turns, changing colors, and then playing normally, and the hoop will stay in whatever it is that you've selected with a wheel turn. And if you want to be more secure, you just hold it here at the 3 o'clock, it locks, and then you can be secure. You can do any move, and you can do isolations and so forth until you unlock the hoop. And let's unlock it. Or you can go back, let's do a backflip into this white screen. You saw the white indicators, two of them in the hoop. And this is also a screen which doesn't have any particular parameters going on. You can't change anything. So it's effectively a locked hoop in this screen. And from this white screen, you can then easily save the hoop. Let's say I have this hoop and I want to save it. I just do my regular save move, and there again I could save this to any of the saved folders, and I'll go ahead and save it there. So that hoop is now saved in the regular saved folder. So the two basic moves in compose mode we've already learned. It's the wheel or isolation, and it's a flip, mostly a front flip like so, or a back flip. And there are some side flips as well, and we'll go over their function. So the idea why it's called compose mode is because we can compose or create any particular hoop that we like, and while creating it we're dancing and playing. The idea is kind of a freewheeling situation. So the Merlin's wheel, or the isolation, the wheel turn to select different things, works in both directions. Like if I go that way, I can go back to the previous selection. So the wheel turn will work as an isolation in either direction and keep changing the values of colors. So this, in the first part of compose mode, is what we're doing is just changing colors. And we can do that with isolation. We're turning the wheel to select different color schemes, and we go through a series of plain colors, identical colors, and then a series of gradients, and then some mixtures of pastels and different kinds of color schemes that you can get familiar with. But here's a pastel color scheme, and the idea would be that once we're in that a color scheme that we want to play with, we just continue to play, and we should be able to stay in that color scheme and do things, and it won't affect the setting. It won't take us out of that particular color scheme until we do isolations again. And then when we do any kind of move that's like an isolation, we're going to be changing the values of the colors. And if we then flip into the next screen, we get a yellow indicator, those two yellow bars, and this means that now we're selecting a different parameter. In this case it's going to be the segment pattern of the hoop. So we've got our color scheme. Now this color scheme is not going to be affected by anything we do. If we want to change the color scheme, we have to go back to those two little red indicators, and now we can change the color scheme with a wheel turn. And we can do this at any point. We can jump between all the different things that we're trying to affect and whatever, and go back, change any of the previous ones, and so forth. So I'll go front flip back into the yellow screen, then I'll do some turns of the wheel, and you'll see that with that color scheme we're now affecting, let's say, the number of lit segments that we have. So we like this hoop, we want to play with it like this, we just play, we hoop, everything, it's fine, until I do a flip move or an isolation. And in that case I did a flip move, and you saw those green indicators. I am now in the next screen, and we're going to change what's happening with those LEDs. They're now strobing, they're now sequencing, or they're fading, or they're steady. You know, so this wheel is now that's fading, sequencing, strobing, steady, and so forth. But let's say, yes, I kind of like the pattern, but I want to go back, and I like let's say I like that it's strobing, but I want to go back to my color scheme and change that. So I do back flips into the red indicators. Now the wheel will change our color scheme. So we'll keep the pattern and a wheel turn either way. We'll keep changing the color scheme, and I'm going like, yeah, that's a nice color scheme, I'll keep that. I can hoop with that, I can play with that, but I want to change the segment pattern again, so I flip to the yellow screen. I continue doing my wheels. There we are, I'm changing segment patterns. and so forth. And if I like one and I missed it, I just reverse the direction of the wheel, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty nice, but I don't really want that strobing, so I go to the green and I change what the LEDs are doing, and now they're sequencing around the hoop. So, and there's 8 screens in compose mode. That was the first 3, the red one which does color, so let's go back to the red one. So this changes color, and then the next screen, got to by a front flip, is the yellow, which changes segment pattern, right? So let's and you'll learn, you know, where the different segments are, and as I reverse the direction, let's say, and that changes segment pattern. And then the next screen, which would be the green indicator, changes the LED effects within that segment pattern, and so forth. So the idea is that you're able to play with a hoop, any hoop that you've got, and pretty much do anything except when you do a wheel turn, an isolation, or if you do a flip move, you're going to pop into another screen, and then you can go back. And of course, at any point, if you're lost, you can do a half off and on again, like the switch will be down the bottom, half off, let it go on again, you'll be back in your default rainbow hoop. And a wheel turn here is changing the colors.